The untold story of Lucifer, from heaven's brightest star to the prince of darkness. Before evil ever existed, before the first humans set foot on earth, there was only light, perfection, and harmony in heaven. At the heart of it all stood Lucifer, the most radiant, powerful, and intelligent of all angels, God's masterpiece. But how did the most glorious being ever created become the embodiment of darkness? What drove him to defy the very Creator who loved him? This is the story of ambition, betrayal, and an epic war in heaven, one that changed the fate of the universe forever. Are you ready to uncover the truth like never before? Before the existence of evil, heaven was a realm of absolute perfection, where celestial beings lived in eternal adoration of God. The divine order was unshaken, and the splendor of the Almighty reigned supreme over all creation. Among the angels, one stood above the rest, a being of unparalleled radiance, wisdom, and might. His name was Lucifer. Lucifer was not merely an angel. He was the very masterpiece of God's creation, adorned with beauty that surpassed all other celestial beings. The prophet Ezekiel describes him as being the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Ezekiel 28:12. His light shone with a brilliance that reflected the divine presence, and his voice resonated with melodies that stirred the heavens in worship. Every aspect of his being radiated the magnificence of his Creator. Beyond his beauty, Lucifer was a leader, entrusted with a divine authority unlike any other. He held a position of eminence among the heavenly hosts, commanding reverence and admiration. His intellect was unparalleled, his presence charismatic, and his wisdom unmatched. The angels followed him with unwavering loyalty, for he carried an aura of divine purpose, seemingly woven into the very fabric of heaven itself. In his hands lay the power to guide the celestial choirs, orchestrating harmonies that glorified the Almighty. Some theologians believe that he was not just an angel, but a cherub of the highest order, perhaps even the chief of all angels. His wings stretched in splendor, his garments shimmered with the radiance of celestial fire, and his voice carried a divine authority that none could question. Lucifer's existence was not merely one of power, but of intimacy with God. He stood in the divine presence, bathed in the eternal light, communing with the Creator in ways that no other angel could. He was an instrument of divine will, a reflection of heavenly perfection. His wisdom allowed him to comprehend the depths of the cosmos, to see the unfolding of divine plans, and to understand the mysteries that lay beyond mortal grasp. Yet in the heart of such brilliance lay a perilous seed. The higher one ascends, the more precarious the fall. Lucifer, though created in perfection, was still a being of free will, for true worship cannot be compelled. Love, to be genuine, must be freely given, and the angels, too, possessed the capacity to choose. In that sacred freedom, a whisper began to stir, a thought that had never before existed within the halls of heaven. It was not spoken, nor was it immediately understood, but it was there, a subtle shift in the cosmic harmony. What was it like to be the highest of all creatures? To possess a mind so vast that none could rival it, to command admiration so absolute that even the stars seemed to bow in acknowledgement. Perhaps in the silent chambers of his being, Lucifer pondered these questions. Did he ever glance upon the throne of God and wonder, what if? Did he ever feel the weight of his own splendor and ask, why not me? Isaiah 14:12 captures the essence of this moment. How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. The title, Morning Star, translated from Lucifer in Latin, speaks of his former glory. He was a light-bearer, a harbinger of divine radiance. But light, when turned inward, ceases to illuminate and instead consumes. Lucifer's tragedy was not in his creation, but in his perception of it. He did not fall because of what he was, but because of what he desired to be. The moment he allowed pride to take root, the first crack appeared in the flawless harmony of heaven. The celestial symphony that once sang in perfect unity trembled with the discord of self-exaltation. Heaven did not yet know rebellion, for there had never been a need for it. The angels had no cause to question their creator. But now, in the depths of Lucifer's brilliance, a storm began to form. It was not seen immediately, nor was it fully understood. But the seeds had been sown, and the heavens, in all their perfection, would soon bear witness to the first tremor of cosmic upheaval. And so, within the heart of the most magnificent of all created beings, the paradox of free will unfolded. The first stirrings of pride, the faintest whisper of ambition, these were but the beginning of an unraveling that would echo through eternity. In the celestial realms, where harmony once reigned supreme, an unsettling transformation began to take place within the heart of one of God's most resplendent creations. Lucifer, the bearer of light, adorned with wisdom and beauty beyond measure, found himself enamored by his own radiance. What once was a reflection of divine brilliance turned into a mirror of self-admiration. His heart, once attuned to the will of the Almighty, began to resonate with a different melody, one of self-exaltation. He gazed upon the majesty of his being and whispered within himself, "Am I not worthy of more? Am I not deserving of a throne among the stars?" The seeds of pride took root in the garden of his soul, growing into a towering ambition that reached beyond the boundaries of obedience. Isaiah 14:13-14 echoes the voice of this celestial rebellion. "You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly, on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High." These words encapsulate the inner turmoil of an angel who once walked in perfect obedience, but now desired sovereignty beyond his station. God, in his boundless wisdom, discerned the stirrings of discontent within his creation. Through whispers of divine counsel and the presence of his unwavering justice, he offered warnings, invitations to repentance, and reminders of the order that governed the cosmos. But Lucifer, entranced by his vision of self-glorification, would not heed these calls. The very voice that once sang praises to the Almighty now carried a silent defiance, a declaration of autonomy. He envisioned a kingdom where his name would be exalted, a dominion where he would not bow but be bowed to. In the halls of eternity, where humility was the currency of communion with God, Lucifer sought to establish an empire built on the foundation of his own splendor. He no longer saw himself as a servant of the Most High, but as a rival, an equal, even a contender for the throne of heaven. Yet the paradox of pride is that it blinds even the most brilliant of minds. Lucifer, the enlightened one, failed to grasp a fundamental truth. No created being, no matter how magnificent, could ever rival the Creator. The very breath that animated his existence, the radiance that clothed him in splendor, the wisdom that once guided his steps, all were gifts from the one whose power has no equal. To challenge God was not only an act of rebellion, but an act of self-delusion. The scriptures are replete with warnings against such arrogance. Proverbs 16:18 solemnly declares, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." Yet, in his pursuit of greatness, Lucifer was blind to the path he was treading. The higher he sought to ascend, the further he would ultimately fall. The angelic hosts, witnesses to this growing storm, watched with a mixture of sorrow and astonishment. They too had been formed in the light of divine love, yet their hearts remained steadfast in reverence. To see one of their own turn away from the divine order was a tragedy beyond comprehension. Some trembled, while others questioned. Could such a being truly defy the one who spoke the universe into existence? Even among the angels, there were those who began to waver, drawn into the web of Lucifer's grand vision. His words, laced with persuasion, spoke of a future where they would no longer be bound by servitude, where they would reign as gods in their own right. The allure of independence, the promise of elevation, it was a temptation that many could not resist. The stage was set for a cosmic confrontation. The halls of heaven, once filled with harmonious praise, now bore the weight of an impending rupture. And yet God, in his infinite patience, did not strike immediately. He allowed choice to manifest, for love without free will is mere compulsion. He watched as the line between allegiance and rebellion was drawn, as the hearts of his creation were tested in the crucible of decision. What Lucifer failed to comprehend was that true exaltation comes not through self-aggrandizement, but through humility. Christ himself would later embody this truth, descending from the highest throne to take on the form of a servant. Philippians 2:6-8 illuminates this divine paradox. Who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. In stark contrast, Lucifer sought to rise above all, to claim for himself the glory that belonged to God alone. The irony of his desire was that, in attempting to ascend, he ensured his own descent. The moment he entertained the thought that he could rival the Almighty, his fate was sealed. He had chosen a path that led not to glory, but to ruin, not to sovereignty, but to exile. Thus, the downfall of Lucifer was not a sudden catastrophe, but a slow, insidious unraveling. Pride did not strike him down in an instant. It consumed him from within, eroding the foundation of his once loyal heart. His wings, which once bore him through the courts of heaven, would soon be stripped of their honor. His name, once synonymous with light, would become a byword for darkness. The echoes of this ancient tragedy serve as a warning throughout time. The spirit of pride that led to Lucifer's fall continues to manifest in human hearts, whispering the same seductive promise: you can be your own God. You do not need him. And yet, history and scripture alike testify that the pursuit of self-exaltation, apart from God, leads only to emptiness. Lucifer's story is not merely one of rebellion, but of lost potential. Had he remained in humble service, his glory would have been eternal. But in seeking to claim more, he lost all. His rise was, in truth, his undoing, a lesson inscribed in the annals of eternity, a cautionary tale for angels and men alike. When God revealed his grand design, the creation of the physical universe and humankind, fashioned in his own image, Lucifer, the bearer of light, found himself unable to accept it. This divine revelation was not merely an expansion of God's boundless creativity. It carried a deeper, more humbling mystery. God himself would take on human form. The Almighty, in his infinite love, decreed that he would walk among his creation as the Christ, lowering himself to the frailty of flesh and the suffering of mortality. To the angels, radiant and resplendent in their celestial glory, this was a moment of awe and reverence. But to Lucifer, once among the greatest of them all, it was an outrage. How could the Eternal One, whose majesty transcended all comprehension, condescend to such a lowly state? Worse still, how could he, Lucifer, be expected to bow before a being of flesh and blood? I will not serve. His voice rang through the heavens, filled with defiance and wounded pride. He saw himself not as a rebel, but as a liberator. To him, submission to God's plan was not an act of devotion, but an acceptance of humiliation. The thought of bending the knee before creatures of dust, mortals bound by weakness and need, was a disgrace he could not abide. Whispers spread like wildfire among the heavenly host. Some, shaken by Lucifer's words, found themselves questioning the divine order. Did not their brilliance surpass that of humanity? Were they not the firstborn of creation, blazing with divine fire, their voices the music of the spheres? Why should they be commanded to venerate creatures fashioned from clay? Lucifer's discontent turned to strategy. He spoke to the angels, weaving a vision of a new kingdom, one in which they would not be bound by the will of the Almighty. He promised a heaven unshackled, where they could shape their own destiny, rather than yield to the decrees of God. "We are light itself," he declared. "Why should we dim our radiance for the sake of dust?" He promised sovereignty, power, and glory, an existence where their light would shine unchallenged, free from servitude to a will not their own. Those who listened found their hearts stirred by his words, and many, seduced by his rhetoric, swore allegiance to his cause. Yet there were others, unwavering in their loyalty to the Creator, who recoiled in horror at his treachery. Michael, the warrior of God, stood in righteous fury. "Who is like God?" he thundered, drawing his flaming sword. To him and those who stood by his side, there was no glory in defying the Almighty, only ruin. They knew that pride was a poison, and Lucifer, once the morning star, had drunk deeply from its cup. "It is written, how you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How you are cut down to the ground, you who weakened the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit." Isaiah 14:12-15. The war that followed was unlike any other, not of flesh and blood, but of will and spirit. The heavens trembled as light clashed against light, thunderous voices proclaiming battle cries that shook eternity. Those who had once sung in unison now turned upon each other, swords of divine fire carving across the firmament. Lucifer, dazzling in his rebellion, fought with all the might of his splendor, but he could not stand against the one who bore the name of God's power, Michael. The faithful angels, their loyalty unshaken, drove back the rebels. The heavens thundered as the might of the Almighty cast the fallen from their midst. And so, as Revelation declares, and war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Revelation 12:7-9. Thus did Lucifer fall, the morning star now darkened, his radiance now a shadow. Cast from the presence of God, he descended into the abyss, carrying with him the host of those who had followed his call. The great rebellion was over, but its echoes would resound throughout time, for the deceiver now turned his gaze upon humanity, seeking to do to them what he had done to the angels, lure them from the light. The battle in heaven was but the beginning. The true war would now be fought in the hearts of men. The celestial battle between Lucifer and Archangel Michael stands as one of the most defining conflicts in the realm of the divine, a moment that echoes through eternity. As pride took root in Lucifer's heart, he, the most radiant of angels, sought to elevate himself above the throne of God. His ambition, his desire for dominion, was the seed of his downfall. Archangel Michael, the unwavering champion of divine order, confronted Lucifer with unshakable authority. "Who is like God?" he declared, a question not meant to be answered but to reaffirm the irrefutable sovereignty of the Almighty. The heavens trembled as the hosts of angels were divided, those who remained steadfast in their devotion to God, and those who, blinded by Lucifer's arrogance, chose rebellion. The book of Revelation vividly captures this moment. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. Revelation 12:7-8. The battle was not one of mere physical might, but of divine justice against defiance, of celestial light against consuming darkness. Though Lucifer was once among the highest, the most beautiful of all the angelic beings, his rebellion rendered him unworthy of his former glory. He stood against the divine hierarchy, yearning to usurp the power that belonged solely to God. Yet Michael and his angels did not fight merely for victory. They fought with unwavering faith, an unbreakable allegiance to the Creator. Their strength was not their own. It was the power of the Almighty channeled through them. As swords of celestial fire clashed in the heavens, the legions of Michael fought with relentless precision. Each strike was not just an act of war, but an affirmation of their fidelity to the one who reigns supreme. Lucifer, though formidable, was not invincible. His pride, the very thing that led him to rebellion, became his weakness. The heavens bore witness as the tide of battle turned. The armies of light overwhelmed the forces of darkness, not through sheer force, but through divine will. In the climactic moment, Michael, shining with the radiance of divine justice, cast Lucifer down. "How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations." Isaiah 14:12. The fall of Lucifer was not merely a defeat, but an exile, a consequence of his own choosing. No longer the bearer of light, he became the prince of a realm devoid of divine presence. And yet, even in his fall, he remains bound by the sovereignty of God. He is not an equal adversary to the Almighty, but a fallen creation, forever marked by his rebellion. The battle between Michael and Lucifer is more than an ancient war. It is a testament to the unyielding order of the divine. It is a story of loyalty and defiance, of justice prevailing over arrogance. Michael stands as a reminder that no power, no being, can rise above God. Lucifer's fate serves as a solemn warning, one that echoes throughout time, urging all creation to remember the eternal truth. God alone is supreme. The fall of Lucifer stands as one of the most profound and cataclysmic moments in the celestial realm, echoing through eternity as a testament to both divine justice and the peril of pride. Once the most radiant of angels, a being of unparalleled beauty and wisdom, Lucifer dwelt in the presence of the Almighty, adorned with the splendor of heaven itself. His name, meaning light-bringer or morning star, spoke of his exalted status among the celestial hosts. Yet, within his heart, pride took root and grew into rebellion. The prophet Isaiah recounts his arrogance. "How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly, on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you are brought down to the realm of the dead, to the depths of the pit." Isaiah 14:12-15 NIV. This passage unveils the tragic irony of Lucifer's ambition. His desire to usurp divine authority became the very cause of his downfall. Revelation 12:7-9 gives an apocalyptic vision of the cosmic battle that ensued. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. This event was not a mere expulsion, but a violent, decisive act of divine judgment ensuring that no rebellion could remain in the presence of God's holiness. 1/3 of the heavenly host, deceived by Lucifer's grand vision of autonomy, joined his insurrection. What once had been a glorious multitude of celestial beings became the army of darkness, cast into the abyss, their radiance extinguished by their own defiance. Lucifer, now known as Satan, the adversary, became the prince of this fallen world, a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. 1 Peter 5:8. His very nature transformed. No longer a beacon of light, he became the accuser, the deceiver, the father of lies. John 8:44. In his exile, Satan's hatred for God turned towards humanity, the pinnacle of divine creation, crafted in the very image of the Almighty. Genesis 1:27. If he could not overthrow God's throne, he would seek to corrupt those whom God loved. His purpose was set: to lead mankind into rebellion, to sow doubt, to whisper deception, to distort what is pure and holy. His first recorded act after his fall was in Eden, where he took the form of a serpent and enticed Eve with the same temptation that led to his own fall. You will be like God, knowing good and evil. Genesis 3:5. Thus, the cosmic struggle between light and darkness began, an eternal conflict that reverberates through the ages. The story of Lucifer's fall is not merely an account of past events, but a warning, a reflection of the continual battle within the human soul. Pride remains the root of destruction, and the echoes of Satan's rebellion still manifest in the world today. Yet, in all this, the sovereignty of God is unshaken. Even in his wrath, God weaves redemption. Even in exile, the promise of victory remains. The serpent may strike the heel, but the heel will crush his head. Genesis 3:15. Lucifer has been a central figure in human history, shaping narratives of temptation, fall, and redemption. His presence first emerges in the Garden of Eden, taking the form of a cunning serpent, whispering deceit into the ears of Eve. Did God really say, "You must not eat from any tree in the garden"? Genesis 3:1. The subtle twist of divine command sowed the seed of doubt, leading humanity into its first act of disobedience. The act was not just a simple transgression, but a foundational fracture in the divine-human relationship. With a single bite, sin entered the world, bringing suffering, mortality, and the need for redemption. Yet, Lucifer's role did not end there. Throughout Scripture, he appears again and again, not merely as a force of evil, but as an agent of testing. The book of Job presents him as the accuser, standing before God, challenging the faithfulness of righteous men. Does Job fear God for nothing? Job 1:9. His words suggest a cosmic wager, a test of loyalty and integrity. Job's suffering, inflicted with divine permission, yet instigated by Satan, becomes a crucible of faith, illustrating the tension between divine sovereignty and human endurance. In the New Testament, the devil reappears, now confronting the Son of God himself. In the wilderness, after 40 days of fasting, Jesus faces 3 temptations: turning stones to bread, leaping from the temple, and claiming the kingdoms of the world in exchange for worship. Matthew 4:1-11. Each offer targets a fundamental human weakness: physical need, desire for proof, and ambition. Yet, where Adam and Eve succumbed, Christ resists. "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, 'Worship the Lord your God, and serve him only.'" Matthew 4:10. In this moment, the contrast between fallen humanity and the perfect obedience of Christ is laid bare. Lucifer's strategy has remained consistent throughout human history: pride, greed, and despair. The temptation of pride echoes in the words of Isaiah. "You said in your heart, 'I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God.'" Isaiah 14:13. This desire to usurp divine authority led to his own fall, and it is the same desire he seeks to ignite in human hearts. Greed, too, is a favored weapon. seen in the betrayal of Jesus by Judas for 30 pieces of silver. Matthew 26:14-16. And then there is despair, the whisper that tells humanity it is beyond redemption, that God has abandoned them, a lie contradicted by the very essence of Christ's sacrifice. Lucifer is more than just an adversary. He is a mirror reflecting the darkest inclinations of the human soul. His presence in Scripture is not just to be feared, but to be understood. The battle between good and evil is not merely external, but rages within every heart, in every choice, in every moment of doubt or faith. He is both the tempter and the tester, yet he is also the defeated. The God of peace will soon crush Satan under your feet. Romans 16:20. Thus, while his influence lingers, his fate is already sealed. In the apocalyptic vision of the book of Revelation, Lucifer, identified as Satan, takes on a pivotal role in the final battle between good and evil. This is not merely a conflict of human struggles, but a cosmic war that has raged since the dawn of creation. The imagery used to describe him is striking: a great red dragon, a deceiver, and the corrupter of nations. Revelation 12:9 states, "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." This passage underscores his influence over humanity, as he manipulates and ensnares countless souls through deception, power, and false promises. He is not simply a being of malevolence, but a master strategist, weaving a web of lies to turn humanity against God. The dragon, a recurring motif in apocalyptic literature, is a being of immense power. His presence signals chaos and destruction. In Revelation 13, the beast emerges under his authority, exercising dominion over the earth and leading people away from the path of righteousness. This satanic trinity, Satan, the beast, and the false prophet, mirrors the Holy Trinity in a grotesque mockery, further demonstrating Lucifer's role as the ultimate adversary of divine order. What makes Lucifer's presence in the book of Revelation so haunting is his ability to manipulate both individuals and entire nations. He is not merely a brute force of evil, but a being of intellect and cunning, capable of appearing as an angel of light, 2 Corinthians 11:14. His deception is not through obvious terror, but through subtle distortions of truth, leading many to believe they are following righteousness, when, in fact, they have been ensnared in darkness. The final confrontation between the forces of heaven and the legions of hell is depicted with intense imagery. Michael the Archangel leads the charge against the dragon and his followers, engaging in a celestial battle that has ramifications beyond time itself. Revelation 20:10 declares, "And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever." This is not merely a punishment, but an eternal separation from the divine, the ultimate fate of the adversary who sought to overthrow the order of creation. In analyzing Lucifer's role in Revelation, it is essential to recognize the symbolic nature of his portrayal. While he is a literal figure in Christian eschatology, he also represents the corrupting force of unchecked ambition, the pride that leads to downfall, and the temptation that pervades human history. His defeat is not just a cosmic victory, but a moral and theological affirmation that goodness, justice, and divine will shall ultimately triumph. The role of Satan in the end times is one of both grandeur and tragedy. Though he wields great power, his fate is sealed. His rebellion, begun in the heavenly realms, culminates in utter defeat, serving as a testament to the ultimate authority of God. The book of Revelation, in revealing the destiny of Lucifer, provides a stark warning to those who are tempted by the illusions of power and deception. It is a story not just of divine justice, but of the inescapable consequences of defiance against the Creator. Throughout history, theologians have debated the nature of Lucifer's role in Revelation. Is he a literal being orchestrating chaos, or does he embody the darker aspects of human nature, pride, greed, and the relentless pursuit of self-glorification? The text allows for both interpretations, making the book of Revelation one of the most compelling and mysterious portions of biblical scripture. Regardless of how one interprets his character, the conclusion remains the same. Evil, no matter how powerful it may seem, is ultimately doomed to fall before the divine light. The story of Lucifer is a solemn reminder of the consequences of pride and rebellion against divine authority. Once a radiant and exalted being, Lucifer held a place of prominence among the heavenly hosts. He was described as the morning star, Isaiah 14:12, a figure of light and wisdom, adorned with beauty and splendor. Yet his heart was lifted up in pride, and he sought to elevate himself above his Creator. Lucifer's downfall was not due to a flaw in his creation, for he was made perfect in wisdom and beauty. Ezekiel 28:12-15. It was his own choice, a willful departure from humility and obedience. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will be like the Most High. Isaiah 14:13-14. These words encapsulate the essence of his sin, self-exaltation over submission to God. This narrative serves as a warning to humanity. The temptation to seek self-glorification, to place one's desires above divine will, is ever present. It is a reflection of Lucifer's own error, a shadow that lingers in the hearts of those who reject the authority of God. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. Pride blinds the soul, distorting truth and leading one further from grace. Yet in the midst of this tragedy, God's justice and sovereignty are revealed. Lucifer was cast down from his high estate, his rebellion leading not to divine supremacy, but to eternal condemnation. Jesus himself bore witness to this event. I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven, Luke 10:18. His fall was swift, his power diminished, and his fate sealed. Despite Lucifer's fall, his influence did not cease. He became Satan, the adversary, roaming the earth in search of souls to deceive. His whisperings echo in the hearts of men, leading them toward disobedience and despair. Yet those who remain steadfast in faith will not be overcome. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. The power of God is far greater than any deception of the enemy. It is crucial to understand that Satan's greatest weapon is not brute force, but subtle deception. He appears as an angel of light, 2 Corinthians 11:14, twisting truth, sowing doubt, and exploiting human weakness. The fall of Lucifer mirrors the fall of man in Eden, where the serpent's cunning words led to the first act of disobedience. The pattern remains unchanged: pride, deception, and the desire for autonomy from God. However, God's love and mercy provide a path to redemption. Unlike Lucifer, who irrevocably chose rebellion, humanity has the opportunity to turn back to God. Through Christ, the ultimate victory over Satan is secured. The Son of God was manifested that he might destroy the works of the devil, 1 John 3:8. The cross stands as the ultimate testament to God's triumph over sin and darkness. Satan may bring suffering, but he does not hold the final word. The faithful are called to put on the full armor of God, Ephesians 6:11, standing firm against the schemes of the enemy. Though trials may come, those who trust in the Lord will find refuge in his unwavering love. In reflecting on Lucifer's fall, believers are reminded of the importance of humility and devotion. True strength lies not in self-exaltation, but in surrender to the will of God. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. James 4:10. Only through faithfulness to God and the embrace of his grace can one resist the allure of pride and walk in the light of truth. Though the darkness seeks to overshadow, the light of God prevails. The fall of Lucifer stands as a testament to the inevitability of divine justice, yet also to the boundless mercy available to those who seek the Lord. In every temptation, in every moment of doubt, the faithful can find solace in the unshakable promise that God's love endures forever. Lucifer's tragic fall from heaven serves as a timeless warning about the dangers of pride, ambition, and defiance against divine order. Once the most radiant of angels, his desire for power led to his ultimate downfall, transforming him into the Prince of Darkness. Yet, his story is not just one of rebellion. It is a testament to the unshakable power of faith, humility, and loyalty to God. No matter how great the darkness, the light of divine truth always prevails. In the end, Lucifer's fall reminds us that true glory comes not from power, but from obedience to the Creator.